September 25th, the new Fox Tuesday kicks off with New Girl's new season. Then welcome Ben and Kate.
Stay away from my sister before you find out what 6 years of Krav Maga feels like. Well, like year and a half plus like 4 years on and off I was traveling.
Followed by another all-new New Girl.
What am I looking at here?
Pure, unadulterated friendship.
And the Mindy Project.
Can't believe you're tattling.
Tattling is when a little girl does it, okay? When a hot woman does it, it's called whistleblowing.
The new Fox Tuesday, premieres September 25th on Fox.
You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV Saturday Night Live After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's SNL After Show. Ooh.
Yeah. All right. I love that song.
That's right. Well, Bing is for doing, and we're doing another AfterBuzz After Show for Saturday Night Live's 38th season on September 15th, hosted by Seth MacFarlane, musical guest Frank Ocean.
Yep, that was a great show.
Yes, I'm your host, Matthew Kyle. With me is Stephen Seidel.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you.
Yes.
You know, this is I'm excited. This is my first show here at AfterBuzz, so thank you for welcoming me to the team. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I've been here too. There you go. Oh, little round of applause there.
Nice.
I've been here too. Never been in Studio B here. Always did Studio A. So
it's a lot more intimate.
Exactly.
I feel, you know,
we could knock knees at any time.
Yes, definitely. You could even touch your foot, and you know, if I touch your foot in the some cultures, you need to shake hands, but we won't do that today.
I'm learning so much already.
Yes, see that? I love it.
It's going to lead to gossip from everybody.
Yes.
But we have our own gossip for Saturday Night Live.
We do.
A lot of changes starting this 38th season.
Yes, lots of news. We had a lot of people, 3 main players that exited, right?
We got Andy Samberg, Kristen Wiig, and Abby Elliott, which was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, Abby Elliott kind of came out of nowhere. I really enjoyed her. She was, you know, very quirky, and like I was telling you earlier, she's Chris Elliott's son, and then
daughter,
that works too. But yeah, she was, and then her grandfather was on Saturday Night Live too. So that was 3 generations. That
totally.
You know, it's very interesting. We have some new players from Chicago, some improv heavy hitters.
Well, we have one holdover from late last season. They joined Kate McKinnon.
Oh yeah,
She's
that's right.
She's also from there. But we have the 3 brand new players,
brand
which is
new.
Adie Bryant, Lady, Tim Robinson, and Cecily Strong.
Yes, and Tim seems like he's the utility player. I enjoyed him last night. Reminds me of Sandberg, a little quirky.
Yeah.
So
and they were all. It wasn't a lot of heavy material they had to play.
Yes.
It was a lot of C characters, not even real B. I think Tim Robinson, not Tim Robbins.
Yeah. Maybe he can host in the future. We'll put that as a prediction. Maybe Tim Robbins.
I think it's
probably
coming.
not.
I think, but Tim Robinson probably had the biggest piece in one of the sketches. The last sketch in the Wooden Spoon Warehouse.
Yes, and he was in the Sergeant one as well. So we'll get to a little bit more of that later. But that was he was great. Also, too, you can on Facebook you can suggest potential hosts, which is something that they're doing. On their page, which is pretty cool. Kind of like Betty White got started to be a host.
Because last year it was its own campaign. It wasn't even involved with NBC starting it. Everybody wanted Betty White to do it. So I think they're going to
integrating that social media. It's cutting it. I like the way that NBC's running that.
I think
so. Pretty excited.
Yeah. So while you're on Facebook doing that, take a little time, go to iTunes, and then also like and comment us, because we greatly appreciate it. Everybody who watches us, we love you for it, and we need all the support we can get.
Give us some feedback. What do you want? What don't you want? What do you like? Preferably, we would like to hear likes and smiles and whistles and winks.
Whistles and winks.
Whistles and winks.
Why doesn't Facebook or iTunes have whistles?
That sounds like we should, maybe try and integrate that in the next social media campaign. Whistling. But Seth MacFarlane, he did great last night. He He was dropping lots of voices on us, wasn't he?
Oh my goodness!
Yes.
I saw the whole demo reel.
Yes.
And the opener
the
there.
whole demo reel. Yeah,
that was something else.
He's like, if you didn't hire me yet because of the 16 shows that I've created, Family Guy, Ted, the latest movie. He's like, he did a Marty McFly impersonation.
Right, which I haven't seen on SNL since David Spade, probably in about '92.
Bringing it back, and
that's right.
maybe Michael J will make an appearance as a host somewhere down the line. That could be interesting. He's got a new show coming out, so
yeah, that'd be really cool to see. I know I'd be a big supporter of that.
Yeah, and as far as the Seth and a lot of the sketches, the puppet sketch I enjoyed as well, but it was.
But overall, what was your impression of him as a host?
I thought he was pretty decent. They didn't really give him too much room to showcase. It was, it was. There were a lot of political sketches,
right?
And there was a lot of Obama, Mitt Romney, and you can't really put him in that because it's the recurring theme. But as far as what Seth brought to the table, his monologue was great, and some of the other sketches were pretty fun. I wasn't blown away, but I definitely laughed, and the supporting cast around him did a great job really showcasing his skills. So I was pleased.
Yeah, I agree that he didn't have a lot to do. The few times he got a little room, I think his biggest probably piece was the Ryan Lochte on Weekend Update, and we'll probably get more into that later.
I would have liked to have seen some cartoon action, granted his existence with
like the old Smigel cartoons.
Yeah, Smigel that does some of those, and now that Sandberg's no longer there with the short videos and things, I feel like they could have done some potential things that could have created some viral video content or some other animated options. But nonetheless, I was very pleased. It was funny. I laughed, and laughing on Saturday Night Live. There's been some seasons, previous seasons, where it hasn't been maybe as funny, but I'm really looking forward to this season, seeing Fred Armisen really being a crutch, seeing him be a major player, seeing the transition of Obama no longer in Fred Armisen's hands, and Jay Farrow going to be doing that, so I'm looking forward to that too.
So I think to be honest, I was a lot less enthused than you might have been, but I think that's good. I think we might learn and grow through this experience of seeing
yeah, for me, it's just interesting. It's fresh, it's new, and so we'll see how it unfolds. Taram Killam, I think that's
Taran.
Yeah, Taran. He's portraying Ryan as well with the Mitt Romney campaign, and I'm just really excited to see how they going forward. There's going to be some Thursday episodes.
Yeah, starting this Thursday.
Yeah, this Thursday. So make sure you tune in. But how they really play with the election and some of the issues in pop culture and politics, and how they get them all together and how they work with that. So definitely looking forward to that. But as far as just the Seth MacFarlane, I thought he did great. I just would like to have seen more of his creative influence. It seemed like there was a lot of some of the other writers that were writing towards. Bill Hader was great. I enjoyed it. No, it wasn't a 10. I was about a 7.
A 7?
7 out of 10, which is
7 out of 10.
Yes,
not bad.
Not bad. I'll take a B. B minus.
B minus.
B minus.
7. Yeah, that's okay. I'll give a B minus. Could be a C. I don't know where you're grading.
Yeah. Well, I went to a different type of school. I'm not going to discuss how big my bus was, but it was a long bus.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, before we get started, I just want to offer a quick reminder, because face it, we all love good comedy, and it's human nature, for God's sakes, right? So the Fox premiere Tuesday is stacked with good comedies. First, Zooey Deschanel is back on the season premiere of New Girl. Boom, just like that, she's laid off and looking for work. Then, Family is a Funny Thing, from the producers of New Girl. It's the new series critics are calling one of the year's best new comedies, Ben and Kate, which I'm a big fan of, just the episode there. Then, after that, you get another brand new episode of New Girl. They're rolling them out.
There you go.
It's pretty ridiculous, right?
I like that.
Then we're finishing it off with Mindy Kaling, because she has the brand new office she's working in. It's the season premiere of the new comedy, The Mindy Project.
Yep.
So if you're looking for a night of laughs, Fox premiere Tuesdays got you covered beginning September 25th, 8 p.m.
And that's coming up soon. Time is flying.
Yeah.
It seems like it was just summer. I love New Girl. Just to see another great comedy. Mindy coming on board as well. She's great in The Office. I believe she was a producer and a writer from time to time on The Office as well.
Yes, she was.
So she's letting herself shine on that, really putting herself in the forefront. I'm looking forward to that. Should be
That's a good night of comedy. Yeah, the Ben and Kate is the only one I've seen so far.
And they have that not Zooey Deschanel, but the other girl who is on the show as well. That she's become more of a major player. I can't remember, her name escapes me, but she's very easy on the eyes. So
I would agree with that.
Yes, I mean they're all easy on the eyes. So I'm looking forward to that. And Fox is great. I love their programming.
Yeah.
So they got a lot of great programming.
It's a strong lineup. Tuesdays
lineup.
Looking like the Thursdays of the 90s.
Yeah, of yesteryear. Hey, put one down on the calendar. Clear it out. No more soccer on those nights, little kids. But I mean, speaking of the lineups, they had some great sketches. I do want to talk about the puppet sketch because that was my favorite one.
Okay, let's get to that. But let's run right through because we got plenty of good stuff to cover. Because right off the cold open, you got Jay Pharoah and the wonderful moment where Fred Armisen actually is literally passing the torch and has the joke where he's like, "Boy, wouldn't want to be the president." Ha ha ha.
Yep.
Tongue in cheek.
Yeah, that
rib punch.
Boom, 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 boom. And you know, just the way. And then the Obama. I thought his impersonation was pretty decent. I'm a big fan of Jay when he does his Jay-Z. Some people may or may not like him. Obviously, you don't seem like you're the biggest fan.
You know what? I'm really torn with him because when he first signed on, I saw his stuff on YouTube, and and if you haven't seen that, go to YouTube, and he has his 50 impressions. They're all great.
50?
Oh, yeah. And then he did another one recently, and it's either 25 more or 20.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Okay. A lot of winners in there.
A lot of
really good impressions.
You just keep throwing the darts. Right. One of them's going to hit that bullseye, right?
You hope so. But what I see with him is his acting skills really struggle. Yeah. And sometimes they do pieces that require a little bit more acting than he has ability for. And his impressions have been honed in his room, you can tell a lot. Yeah. And the downside of that is they're 10-second impressions. There's nothing behind it. And false.
So in comparison to Fred Armisen and Jay, you thought Fred's was a little bit better as far as
Barack Obama. Everybody struggles because they can't find out what is funny about doing a Barack Obama impression. As far as just an impression of doing an impression, Jay Pharoah's is superior to Fred Armisen. The only thing Fred Armisen had was the vocal cadence. Yeah, he had that down. The rest of it was pretty free.
It's fun to try at home too if you ever want to do that and you have some free time. You try and talk like the president.
We have some stuff.
And then we do a little bit of this and raise it. But I was pleased with it. You know, black dude on the show, black president, put them together. There you have it.
Totally.
So,
but I think just as a comedy bit, everybody reaches back to the most recent memory, and you have the knocking out of the park George Bush, Will Ferrell.
Yeah, George Bush.
And that's a great example of not a great impression, but a great characterization.
And really funny, yes.
And it was hilarious.
Dana Carvey, not got that.
Right.
Be prudent.
And they're not perfect impressions, but they're characterizations. And that's what I can't see from Jay yet. He hasn't figured out what's funny about the character. He's figured out how to impersonate it into a likeness. Yeah. But he hasn't figured out how to
I guarantee by November 4th, he will be a little bit further along in the progress, and we will see.
You guarantee?
I guarantee.
What are you putting on the line?
I'm putting on the line is I'm going to do 55 push-ups right here in the
55 push-ups. You heard it.
If it doesn't get any better.
TV exclusive.
Exclusive 55 push-ups. That's a lot of push-ups for you people at home. But following up on that, then we had Seth MacFarlane do his introduction, basically his demo reel, which is pretty funny.
Right. Every voiceover I've ever heard.
Yeah. And it was interesting just to see, and lots of times I know I watch voiceover. I don't watch voiceovers, do I? No, that'd be hard. But, animated films, and you're constantly trying to picture who's doing the voice. So it's interesting to, watch Family Guy, but not really watch it and see it come out of Seth MacFarlane's mouth.
Well, the old adage of that, Mel Blanc, the guy who did all the voices for the Looney Tunes, wouldn't like to do or would not do the voices because he felt like it ruined it, because he's like, the voice is the character. If you see me doing it, it takes the
it did take me out of it a little bit, but and so now when you watch it with a different perspective. But it was interesting to see him do that, and I enjoy Seth MacFarlane. I didn't see Ted, but I love Family Guy is great, obviously.
Okay, before we move on from that, I do have one question for you, because I think it was probably the only thing you could consider controversial of the night, and that was his opening remark of the Farrah Fawcett
Farrah Fawcett, I have that written down.
What did you think of the Farrah Fawcett joke?
I thought that was pretty impressive because for me, I know that SNL is synonymous for becoming someone of notable presence and just a dream in a lot of performers and entertainers' lives, and for him to throw back on that,
Oh, so you took it as a positive?
I thought it was great.
Because I thought it was just a cold cut.
Just a cold cut.
That's what I thought.
Well, a lot of everything on SNL is a cold cut, but for me, I can gravitate towards it just because of the fact that everybody's dream is to go onto SNL, and I like to choose the high road sometimes.
I think, you would definitely, because I saw it as a line that he would give somebody on Family Guy. And just a dirty joke, just a low kind of great joke. And to watch him actually do it into camera as himself, I was like,
Yeah, I could see the side of that. Yeah,
I was shocked that he started with that too, but
yeah, it wasn't exactly extremely funny. I feel like he could have come out the gate a little bit better, but he was, you know, it was just more like I said, it was Seth or like you said, Seth MacFarlane highlight demo reel. I could have used a little bit more characterization, but you know, so be it. You know, other than that, but the second, what was the second?
Romney attack ad. We went right into the commercial there.
Yeah, that was pretty funny, and you know, it's great just to see they were talking about the herpes. They were talking about Ray McCoy.
Whatever they could think, they could pin on these guys.
Yeah,
you know?
And it was funny. I feel as if I would like to see, you know, the opposite side of attacking Obama, but I guess they did that in the intro. So, you know, they're a little bit more left-wing.
That's true, too, and I didn't know how much they were I mean, because both sides have had attack ads, but I think Romney has had more complaints. There was the one specifically that was targeted at Romney that I think they were referencing where it said that, you know, he caused these people to lose his jobs, which was really accurate.
With the unions and all of that.
But, yeah, I thought it was good. It was solid. It wasn't, you know, it was, you know what it was. It was packaged well.
Yeah, it was basically, they have to go there, which is great. But I like, with some of the other sketches, the Sex After 50, that one was pretty funny for me.
Oh, you liked? Okay, let's.
I thought that just Fred Armisen, I'm a huge fan of him. He had a HBO Zone, and then now he's on Portlandia, and I just love that his quirkiness. I'm really gonna miss the sketch that he does with Kristen Wiig, where they sing together and they read the lips.
Totally, the improv song.
Yeah,
thing,
the improv song, and it's interesting to see his dynamic. You know, they are getting a little lowbrow with a lot of their jokes these days, but there was a lot of really funny lines. You know, the hot dog water coming out of the girl who had an upset stomach. The one lady said she had sagging breasts, and he said, "I'd like to introduce you to my sagging balls."
Right.
So that was quite funny.
If you had that.
Yeah.
That one, I'll be honest, that one just missed me.
No.
I just thought it was a pretty lame character, and it's like, oh, it's a sleazy guy talking about sex, and then I get 4 minutes of it.
Yeah.
It's like there were no beats, there were no levels, there was no changes, there were no intervals.
It's a one joke. It's one joke.
It's a one joke pony, as I call him.
Yeah.
And I have no problem with that, but I was like...
It's like you're watching Jackass on TV. It's, you know, a bunch of dudes running in and doing
pretty
crazy
much,
stuff.
But again, then it's Fred Armisen, so I raised my bar a little more than Johnny Knoxville hitting himself in his own nuts. You know? I'm like, well, then let's...
Agreed.
You know? If you've been on a show for 10 years... And it's also writing the comedy for. No, I agree with you, but I'm saying, and it's not just him because there's other sketches that got turned down. This is what they decided should make air. And there's other things they taped on air and then didn't even show on TV.
Yeah, they have the rehearsals actually. I don't know if most people probably do know this, but prior to the airing, they actually do the rehearsal show where they have probably about 15 episodes, and then they shave off 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 of them.
Exactly.
And then they go into that. So like you're saying, there was probably plenty of other sketches.
So there's stuff that didn't make it.
Yeah.
And sometimes things just get a real big laugh in dress and they work really well, and then live they don't work as good.
Yeah.
Sometimes they work better. You know, you never know what you're going to get once actual live to tape happens.
Well, what about the Clint Eastwood bit? That wasn't live to tape. I mean, basically.
No, that was taped.
What did you think of that?
I love that.
You love?
Yeah.
See, I thought it was funny. I felt like that was a one-joke pony. That was a one-joke pony as well.
Totally.
But, you know, anytime Bill Hader does pretty much anything, he's nominated for an Emmy this year, actually. Yeah. I really hope that he gets it. He's very, very talented.
He surely is. And I think he's one of the... Going back to the Jerry Farrah thing, he really gets the characterizations.
Oh,
he gets
phenomenal.
What is funny about the person and then builds the impression around that as opposed to the other way around.
Yes.
So
I used to see him a lot at UCB in New York when I lived in New York. You know, he would do a lot of stand-up around there. He is really, really talented. So it was funny. I mean, I love the Clint. Anytime you go up to Clint Eastwood at the Republican National Convention, really, and you know, obviously, you know, Saturday Night Live is going to pull those things out in the pop culture. That was. And then the next sketch with
lids.
Yeah.
The lids sketch.
Gundam style.
Which I had just my friend
you hadn't seen that yet?
Well, I saw. What did I see? I saw him on the Today Show.
Oh, okay.
He was on the Today Show Friday. I have a friend who's a dancer. Shout out to JD.
Hey, JD, what up?
Who was a background dancer for that. And I kept reading him on Facebook. He's like, we're about to go Gangnam Style in New York. And I was like, be safe, brother. I don't know what that means.
That video, if you haven't seen it, you got to check it out. It's on YouTube.
I watched it last night so I could completely understand what was going on.
I was at the Dodgers game. They were all doing it. I'm like, what's this little dance thing that they're doing? And I guess it's simulating riding a horse. and I saw some horses.
Yeah, that's what I would take. There's this side the camera's not picking up what I'm doing, but it's gold.
But I'm picking up what you're putting down.
And you're feeling it.
Yeah, and I'm really loving it.
It just got 10 degrees hotter.
Yeah,
in this
we're going to have to put the AC up a little bit, actually down, because
that's right.
But that was, another one joke pony, but it was pretty funny. I mean, anytime you can, I go to Lids. I like baseball hats.
Me too.
So
what size hat do you wear?
I wear 7 1/8. How about yourself?
7. I have a tiny head.
Oh, see. Yeah. And I've been looking for a black Phillies hat. I'm from Philadelphia. I don't know who your sports team is, but
Denver Broncos.
Denver Broncos. There you go. Good luck. Good luck to the Manning.
That's right.
And so when you go into Lids, it's an experience. And Jason Sudeikis had the whole dude vibe as the customer. That was a pretty funny little character.
Yeah. I thought everybody was trying to do a little character. That's what I really appreciate about Seth MacFarlane on this, is he was really trying to make unique characters, and it probably blends into his personality and all the voices he does.
Yeah.
But his character work was pretty good.
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't. Yeah, definitely. It wasn't anything major, but he was definitely showing characterization, which is a shout out to Seth.
I do wonder if you have any guesses why they pick a Lids. Like the setting there is pretty pointless. You could pretty much do that anywhere.
There was a funny moment in that sketch where the guys kept coming out and dancing, but then the doors shut and they couldn't get back out to do the dance, and there was just a bunch of hats on the wall. They're like, now what are we gonna do? And then they disappeared around the corner. But it was funny.
Yeah.
Lids, that's what's up. If you need to get a good hat, get one with an AfterBuzz TV logo on it.
Well, that's right.
I bet you sure that one will look good. Okay. The next one, the puppets.
Probably my favorite of the night.
Best sketch by far, and Bill Hader, like you said, his characterization on that was brilliant.
Reminded me a lot of the Will Forte anti-Obama character, if you remember that from a couple years back.
Sure, yeah. And just, it was so specific. His character, Anthony Coleman, was his character name, and he was an old war vet. And they had these little puppets, and Seth MacFarlane, talking them through that. And he was just really committed to that character of being an old war vet coming from...
that was great. I thought that was, in my opinion, that was Seth's strongest character of the night.
It definitely was.
Very unique. That seemed like a guy who would teach people puppetry.
Yeah, and he deals with cartoons, puppets, but not really.
Totally.
I mean, anytime he's in that little imaginary world, I think is when he thrives. Which is why I was just so surprised they didn't let him go crazy with some sort of animated short for him to do all of his voices that he does when he's home alone. I can only just picture him talking to himself, telling himself to get cereal in one voice and answering in another. But the puppet, it was really, really funny.
The I just trying to think of exactly.
And then at one point, the one character, the Anthony Coleman, he had his puppet named Tony. He's like, let's go ahead and try a new character, and then he turned it into Clark. He was like, my name is Clark, I like biscuits and waffles. And I guess that was another character that he was with, another gentleman he was with in Grenada while he was on his war campaign. It was really funny. So
it was really great. I loved when...
shout outs to all you veterans. Thank you for helping us.
I'm sure those are the kind of vets they want to be prepared to. The ones who are like this, who
smoking.
Never got over it.
Yeah.
He was still struggling with PTSD 4,000 years later, unfortunately.
On the highways here in L.A., every highway that you pull up to.
But yeah, that was a really great sketch. I think my highlight of that sketch was when he actually... when he told him to do a different character, and so he just stole the girl's character.
Oh yeah, and it said exactly what she said. It was just so funny, and it's where what we were talking about earlier, the sex after 50, which is dick and fart jokes or whatever. But this was just well thought out and really funny, and just
beat some levels. You know?
And the games that they were playing, to challenge each other. It was really well done. That was by far the best. So check that one out. You can probably see it somewhere.
It's on
online.
Hulu right now.
Hulu.
So go check it out.
Yeah, it's right there right now. Just click it. And it'll be right there.
That's right. And go on iTunes.
Yes.
And help us out, because we're hooking you up.
Yeah, definitely. We're giving you the inside scoop.
That's right. And then Weekend Update.
Weekend Update.
Really solid.
Seth Meyers, really funny. Seth Meyers does a great job.
Yeah, Seth Meyers, he wasn't my favorite when he first started, when it was him and Amy Poehler. Then I felt like probably half a season after she had left, he really got into his own. Now I think he's really strong.
Yeah, I think he was relying, back and forth. When it's his show, it's his deal. They, a lot of funny jokes about, Joe Biden doing the campaign trail.
That is the weirdest picture.
Yeah, there's a picture of Joe Biden with his head buried into some old lady.
Old biker lady. He's behind her and touching her shoulder. I'm just like, how did you get in that position, Joe Biden?
On the campaign trail. There it was.
Good Lord. From Connecticut to a biker bar.
And then we had a nice little cameo from... Everybody's been talking about this show. You know what I'm talking about, right? You know the show that everybody's talking about.
Oh, Honey Bobo.
Honey Bobo. Oh,
Honey Bobo.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen this show.
You have not seen this show?
I have not seen
We actually watched it during the Republican...
Are they as mentally ill as the Weekend Update made them seem?
Yeah, it's pretty much spot on.
Okay.
And the fact that they have subtitles, we're watching it, and they obviously live in the United States of America.
Yeah, you know, I actually do the Honey Boo Boo after show here.
You do the Honey Boo Boo after show?
You do the Honey Boo Boo?
Oh,
I
my
do it here.
God.
We got to check that out, too. Is that's on
should.
iTunes as well, correct?
Yes.
I can't... Maybe at some point, Honey Boo Boo will be up in the studio sitting in one of these chairs.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We're trying to get them.
Yeah.
Wow. Where do they live?
Georgia.
Georgia. This is where this is going down?
McIntyre, Georgia.
Yeah.
McIntyre?
Yep.
So
not mac and cheese, because that's what it looks like. Mac and cheese, Georgia.
And they just have the quotes underneath. It's one of the most bizarre shows, and the fact that has more ratings than probably 95%.
The Democratic convention and the Republican convention actually beat them in ratings, so I'm sure it gives you guys a lot to talk about, and I'm sure you guys have a lot of fans. My goodness.
Yeah, Honey Boo Boo.
Yeah, you guys should run for president. You'll probably have an easy shot.
I do have one bone to pick. Seth Meyers. I'm not defending or not defending, but he
lay it on him, Steve.
Yeah, Joe Paterno joke with Al Pacino is supposed to be playing.
Didn't work.
It didn't work, and
because it made Joe Paterno seem like he was the pedophile.
Yeah, and that wasn't right because that was not Joe Paterno who was doing that. But
that's exactly. It was Jerry Sandusky.
It was Sandusky. So they're passing the buck. I am a Penn Stater. What's up, Penn State?
I felt like they wrote that joke and they really liked it, and they were like, "Oh, it doesn't completely work," and they go,
"Yeah,
even so.
Let's try it again."
Oh, even so.
Say hello to my little friend. No, thank you. Ryan Reynolds joke really worked about Ryan Reynolds.
Blake Lively getting married.
Yes.
Which I didn't even know was happening.
Yes, and not the worst thing that they've ever done. They flashed with the screen of Green Lantern.
Yeah, that was great.
That was actually a wedding that they told no one about. They shipped over to South Carolina and just went. But you know who was there was who's the singer from Beaches, Bette Midler. She sang there.
What?
Oddly enough, yeah. I don't know how she fits.
Did they pay her or something?
I guess. I don't know how that fit into the picture. Seth MacFarlane was there as Ryan, however you say his last name.
Lochte, the Olympic swimmer.
Yes, who is now moving to California to pursue entertainment.
Well, he should.
Yeah.
The one thing about the Ryan Lochte, and the audience seemed to like it, so maybe I'm missing something, but I've seen plenty of Ryan Lochte.
I have. I've seen him on the cover of like the USA, the Us magazines with the shirt off.
Oh, totally.
I mean, I have him all over my room, actually.
They're really trying to push him as a ladies' man. That was their edge. But the impression, I didn't really get it. Like, Ryan Lochte doesn't seem like the quickest draw.
Yeah.
But he also doesn't seem like that
like comatose and unable to talk.
Exactly. And like high. I was like...
Yeah.
That's what I thought was kind of interesting, because I was like, I don't really understand where he got this impression of him. And I thought it was funny and it was entertaining.
It was funny. It was entertaining, and I feel like the jokes were well written. I mean, there was he was reviewing the show Go On and calling it goon. I mean, I thought it was.
I thought it was go odd.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean good?
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was pretty funny.
I thought it was totally fun. I just don't. I gotta watch some Ryan.
I would have liked to have seen him with no shirt on, as if he was on the magazine cover, like all.
You know who I don't want to see without a shirt on?
My mom.
Psy.
No,
your mom would be okay. Psy.
Whoa, take it easy.
Gangnam Style.
Yeah.
He's a little chunky style.
Yeah.
Am I right?
That's why he's doing all those moves.
He's a little Denty Moore after dinner
and
between fast food.
And the fact that Psy, P-S-Y, it throws me off. I just didn't know how to say that at first. It would look like a PS3 symbol.
Oh, you never took like poli-sci?
No, I didn't. I was an engineer, but good thing.
You were an engineer.
And now here we are, Saturday Night Live AFTERBUZZ. What? There we go.
The dream is real, gang.
Yeah.
The dream is real.
And speaking of dreams, flavor blasted chips. There was a funny joke about how every American likes anything that has flavor blasted on it. Like, and that's anything Doritos. I just feel like there's an abundance of flavor. But
do you know that America's 30% obese? I'm just going to bring everybody down by that.
Yeah. I had
30%.
That's crazy. And
30%.
A lot of that is due to eating. Did you know that?
Is that right?
Yeah, due to excessive quantities of food and bread and candy.
Okay.
And candy. And in New York, where they shoot Saturday Night Live, they've outlawed the certain big soda cups because it's an exorbitant amount of sugar to be consuming at one time.
Right, because you can't get the supersize at McDonald's anymore.
Yeah, so
it's
Bloomberg, thank you for that. Mayor Bloomberg doing it up.
Things are changing.
Yeah, so they also had you're speaking of Jay Farrow not having deep characterization.
Bang.
They had him there, and he'd said, I don't even think
Dominican boyfriend.
He was a Dominican boyfriend. He didn't say one thing, I don't think.
Yeah, to Mimi Morales, which was one of the new players' characters.
Yeah, she was the Latino girl, and she was pretty good with that. She was pretty.
Yeah, that seems like a well-worked character.
Yeah,
she was coming from Chicago. You know, she was doing that on stage somewhere.
Yeah, definitely.
Secondhand nature.
I feel like a lot of their characters are probably bred, improv based, and they just transition them over. But I'm interested to see what else she has to bring to the table a little bit later in the season, and the characters and all that. So hopefully they'll continue to give her a little bit more. But it was very well done. Her and the Latin vote, it's a big thing nowadays. I think a lot of the percentage, even in California, there's the Latinos in California, there's an exorbitant amount. So it was an important issue. So it was pretty funny the way that they did that.
Yeah, I thought that was a nice way to close it too. I think. Yeah. It almost went up and then down. Honey Boo Boo was probably here. Brian Loxley a little under, and then we came down a little bit.
Yeah, Honey Boo Boo. She's in.
Honey Boo Boo.
Honey Boo Boo. I got
so much.
Yeah.
Ugh.
That's what we're looking at.
Why are people writing across the world? Honey Boo Boo.
And then the next sketch, what was it? The Army
training.
Army training.
Came back from the break with Army training.
And that was it was
a great sketch in 1987
about stuttering. It's and then he stutters, and then he doesn't. Do I stutter? No, and you said it in a weird way. I didn't really know what you were asking. Wasn't big on that one, but
it was okay played, but like I said, it just felt really dated.
The costume work on that sketch was by far probably one of the best.
You think that? I don't know. Lids?
I mean,
Lids was pretty solid. How many hats did they have to buy to fill that Lids store?
Lids was pretty tight.
Lids was pretty sweet, but I completely agree with you. The Army, it's just
there was I
remember Chris Kattan in the 90s did a really funny drill sergeant. Yeah. Where you go, you know what I'm saying? And nobody could ever understand what he was saying. And so they didn't know what to do.
And they were confused.
And that was a way funnier take than what they did this time. And that was 15 years ago. So it's like, this felt just extremely dated.
Chris Kattan was all, and then you were all. That was the next one.
That was the I'm like dinner date, right? Yeah. Where I'm like, oh, I'm being crazy right now.
I'm like, oh, I'm like a robot. And that was kind of like funny one-up status. But
I'm like, oh, I'm so thirsty.
Yeah. And then they had the crazy Bill Hader again comes through with I guess it was like a paraplegic waiter, and then they made fun of him.
Yeah, right. Yeah, When then he really sold it. And I was like, I doubt he told them he was going to throw water all over him.
Those are the greatest moments where it's totally unexpected. Jimmy Fallon, Horatio Sands, that was one great dynamic between them when they're laughing. And you know that it's organic, and they weren't expecting Will Ferrell was notorious for doing that kind of stuff.
Totally. And last year we really noted the seasoned players, more Jason Sudeikis and Bill Hader.
Yeah.
Not as much Fred Armisen.
Yeah.
But them and Wig and Andy Samberg really letting loose a lot of times. Really getting maybe a little too loose
pushing
at times.
The envelope a little bit,
of just not caring almost,
Yeah, just going for it. Yeah, Bill just threw the water. And I can't think of her name from the one who won the Emmy, who was in Bridesmaids with Kristen Wiig when she was on SNL.
Oh, we're talking about Molly McCarthy?
No.
Melissa McCarthy.
Thank
Why
you.
am I blowing her name?
See, it's been a long day. I had a flat tire today.
You need the Honey Boo Boo brains.
I need the Honey Boo Boo brains.
See, the Honey Boo Boo brains know the answer.
See, she's got that. But like when she was doing a lot of her sketches, she was just going after it and just pushing it as far.
And she's groundling.
Yeah.
She's no, she's done this
and that's
for
what
many years.
We love to see. And Seth MacFarlane, he's great, but he's just not in that. He's just very polished and stuck with what he was doing. But
you can tell that he lives around actors and is around.
He actually lives around us too. I think he lives somewhere up in the Hollywood Hills.
Oh.
So
we should find out where that is.
Yeah, well, actually, if we want to send him this link on iTunes for him to review, maybe he can get back to us. Seth MacFarlane.
We should.
If you have anything, you can comment back and just let us know your thoughts.
He only has like 9 jobs. So
yeah, so I'm sure he's got time.
Squeeze that in.
Yeah.
Between a PB and J.
Yeah, get that right in there. I thought you were going to say PBR. That was like Seth MacFarlane, PBR.
No, PBR and PB and J.
Yeah, that's like a PB.
That's the Honey Boo Boo dinner.
Yeah,
right there.
Seriously.
Look at me milking the Honey Boo Boo
hey,
jokes.
If you guys have an open slot for Honey Boo Boo next week, I think we have our fill-in, our guest
I'll get half a notebook full of winners, and we'll just go bam,
boom,
bam,
one at a time.
One-liner, 2-liner, 3-liner, bingo.
Just scratch them off one at a time.
Yeah, so Army training.
Not a big fan.
Not for us.
No.
Not for us.
We need something else there. Just a little one-notish.
Something a little fresher.
Yeah.
Steve Harvey Show was the next
I forgot
sketch
about that one.
with
yes.
our All That holdover.
Yeah.
Who's still on the show?
Yeah.
Believe it or not, Kenan Thompson.
Kenan Thompson took a long time to come around. I'll tell you, there was like 7 years before.
Luckily, he got paid millions of dollars all these years to finally.
Yeah, and then he hit it with what up with that. He had a couple. People were kind of
the sex positions.
Yeah, sex position and Scared Straight. I'm sure they'll be bringing that back.
Straight's fun, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's pretty funny. I've watched a lot of Steve Harvey, and he's something else to watch.
Steve Harvey,
with those teeth and that mustache.
Oh, he was great on Family Feud. Have you ever watched Family Feud?
Yeah, I love to watch him on that, and he said some things that weren't meant to be said, and there's like YouTube clips that go around, he just goes after it. But
yeah, he's a comedian, and he says crazy things.
Yeah, and now he has a talk show in which he wants to like give back. So it's like being funny and giving back. I guess that's more of Ellen does it well, but I'd like to see how Steve Harvey does it. But
well, I think Ellen is involved in his show to a certain extent. I don't know if she's a full-on producer or what.
Honey Boo Boo's not involved with that at all, right?
I don't know.
No? Okay.
We don't know yet. We'll have to.
Yeah, we'll check it out.
Yeah, later.
But Steve Harvey, Kenan's impersonation, it was pretty. He has that little lisp when he talks. I was pretty pleased with it. He was pretty funny. There wasn't any substance really to the sketch itself. It was like a makeover, and then.
No, but I liked the one thing I did like about the sketch is I like the idea that Steve Harvey does think that he looks really good.
Yeah.
When he does look like Jack Nicholson in the first Batman.
Yeah. The most ridiculous suits in the entire world, and the jackets don't end at his waist or at the bottom of his pocket. They end at his calf.
And the one thing I most appreciated about Kenan Thompson is Steve Harvey does not sit in stools.
No, he does not.
So if you go back and look at that, or any Steve Harvey clip for the last 1,000 years, he just leans on it and he just lays back. And I'm just like, I don't know. Is this the Dr. Phil school of sitting down? I don't get it.
Steve Harvey, God bless him, hopefully, and he's doing well for himself. He's writing movies. He's doing that.
He had a TV show for years. He's really done it all. He kind of fell down, and then all of a sudden he wrote that book, Think Like a Man.
Yeah, and then it became a movie.
That was like.
I will come back to that, but I think we may see more of him this year on Saturday Night Live.
You think so?
I think so.
Okay. Because they milked the Oprah for a long time.
Yeah.
But Oprah is.
Yeah. And I know that when people do impersonations and they start to do them really well, they love, look at Andy Samberg and Nicolas Cage last season. Put them side by side and see how they deal with it. So you never know.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's fun. I wonder if he probably tapes out here, though.
Yeah.
So it could be a New York.
He actually tapes in Chicago.
He tapes in Chicago.
Yeah, like in and around
the old
Oprah.
Harpo studio.
Yeah, right around there because that's where he's from and he wants to be close to his family because he's a family man. He's got like 5 kids.
Look out!
I'm sure they all dress just like him and they're gonna have a big stash.
I hope
like
so.
Like the Steve Harvey.
Yeah, like the Super Mario Brothers stash.
Yeah, that's legit. I'm a big fan of that.
But we kind of skipped over it a little bit in between our Honey Boo Boo comments. But the I'm Like dinner date.
Yes.
Did you enjoy that?
Yeah, it was pretty funny. It was just people, and then he was all, I'm gonna write this down with my pen, and then he was all like, oh, I skipped that one little note, and then that was a good one.
He was all like, why are you writing with your pen?
Yeah, it's right here, and I'm gonna dot it. Pointillism.
Yeah, I thought that was fun, and then it was kind of interesting. They closed with, about as short as a sketch as they ever do, which was the Wooden Spoon Warehouse.
I didn't think this is what I do, and I'm sure maybe some of the audience members do it as well. Whether you're DVRing it or whether you're watching it, you're like watching that clock. Yeah. And the one music comes up, and then you're like, okay, about halfway through, it's going to be the news segment, and then you're like, all right, is it time for another sketch? And I didn't think there was time for another sketch, but they slid that one in there. It was a whole minute, a minute long. Like, boop, we're just going to put that in there, and that's our show. The Wooden Spoon sketge. And him trying to describe the letters in some old alphabet.
Because apparently Amish don't know how to write. It didn't really make sense in that way. I really liked it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was funny in how they described the letters.
They make a mean furnace, though. Amish people, they do make mean furnaces.
And wicker furniture.
Yeah, and being from Pennsylvania, there's a place called Lancaster, and they drive a pretty nice little a wooden. Not a wooden, but horse
and buggy.
Horse and buggy. There you go. My brain is not totally functioning today, but as far as spelling and letters and whatnot, I actually have seen a couple Amish people driving cars, so I wonder if they would be offended at that. But
well, maybe the two that watched. There's a show on Nat Geo.
Watch it. Oh.
There's a show on Nat Geo.
Yes.
About Amish people.
I heard about that.
Right. Yeah. And then they have a camera following them around.
Yeah.
And I was like,
how is that accepted? And, mom and dad aren't gonna like to, let the cameras in there. That's technology. But
that's interesting. But
yeah, yeah.
Amish gotta eat, baby.
Amish gotta eat.
You know, we all don't have Honey Boo Boo Bank.
They all gotta get entertained too. They gotta get some laughs in there besides playing cards or whatever it is that they do in the recreational time.
But I thought that was a fun sketch to close on. A little short, little button, it was fun little wordplay.
And we had the newest addition to SNL. Tim Robinson.
Yeah, playing along.
Not to be confused with Tim Robbins from Jacob's Ladder.
Right, or Tim Robbins, the actor, who I will constantly confuse him with for the rest of my life.
Yeah, definitely. So I think Tim Robbins, the ex-quarter of Susan Sarandon.
Yes.
I believe they're no longer together, but
no, they're not. She's dating a much younger man.
Yeah, she is. Get after it, Susan.
That's all side things.
Yeah.
Much younger men.
Yes.
Frank Ocean, he's like 19, right?
He's super young.
Frank Ocean.
Is he part of the Odd Future group? Odd Future?
Yeah, he was a late addition. I think Odd Future kind of existed, and then he kind of like joined up.
Tyler.
I like what you do.
Yeah, look at that. See, shout out. And right? Tyler, the creator, that's kind of like his. It's almost like the latest Wu-Tang. I mean, I grew up around Wu-Tang Clan.
I did too.
And so it's more of like the new school. A lot of these
horrorcore. I'm not really familiar with it to that extent, but that's what it's referred to as.
Oh, okay. I did not know that. That is
will kill you. Rap music like that.
That is some weird, wild stuff. I did not know that.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, Eddie McMahon.
Little Carson, right?
Hey, Dana Carvey did that really well. And that's just like just people who are. But Frank Ocean, he came out.
Thinking About You was the first song he did.
Yep, and John Mayer playing the strumming it behind him,
which they didn't even reveal. Like you had to just keep your eye wandering, and you go, "Hey, who's that guy who looks like he dated every woman in the world?"
Wait, is that
John Mayer?
Is that Katy Perry in the background? No, that's not. Is that Jennifer Aniston? No, that's not her. Is that?
It's a guy with a balloon head. It's John Mayer.
Interesting little side fact is John Mayer actually started out as an actor. I don't know if you knew that.
When he was like 10 or something?
Probably. I don't know. But
side facts, man.
Yeah, he came in. I came in the back door. Boop, just hit you right there on the left-hand side.
Yeah, you sure did.
So and then that didn't work. So he started playing the music. And now look at him. He's playing with hip-hop groups and courting these ladies. And they had all the arcade setups behind him as well.
And I got to say, my funniest moment of the night did not occur in a sketch.
No, it didn't.
Stephen, it wasn't even close to a sketch.
Please tell me what it was.
It wasn't in the monologue.
It
wasn't a pre-written commercial. It was when Frank Ocean, in the second song, Cleopatra, midway through the song, gets up and goes and plays Tekken on one of the machines during a guitar solo.
Yes.
That was the funniest thing I have ever seen in my life.
Tekken is a great game, so I can understand how he was just gravitating towards it.
And clearly it was playing. They had the camera angle for it when they had the depth shot of going off in the background while he's like...
Yeah, I wonder if that was his idea or if that was a little throw to that one of the producers threw in there, but...
I hope it was his idea because I'd hate to see some young hip producer being like, "Hey guys, I don't want to ruin your set and all the genius you're delivering, but if you go over and play video games halfway through, it's gonna play really well with 13 to 10-year-olds."
A lot of unused games in the back here. They're having withdrawal, but and one of the pyramids. That's the second song.
Pyramids. I called it Cleopatra. It's pyramids, right?
Yeah, pyramids.
Okay, the chorus is Cleopatra.
Yeah, well, and that's the song that he sings, about having same-sex relations with a man.
Right, which was apparently his first love.
Yeah, and that there's been a lot of talk about that. Jay-Z and some other people, not sure if that's good for the hip-hop image.
But apparently Jay-Z came out and said, like, good for you, buddy, and Russell Simmons was, like, big step in the hip-hop community.
Yeah, and at first it was a little hesitant, but now it seems like a lot of people are embracing him. I've heard that, I enjoy his music. I'm not going to go buy the CD, but, if it's going to play on Saturday Night Live, I will not fast forward through it.
You know what it reminds me of?
What is it?
D'Angelo. Remember D'Angelo from when we were young?
D'Angelo, and honestly, if you want to court or get, a little romantic with the lady and you put in D'Angelo.
Or maybe a same-sex thing.
Like or like your boy, that you guys are getting along well. And you want to
That's the way I describe it. Make the move from boy to bond.
Yeah. And you put that in there. D'Angelo has a new CD out. There was actually a concert. It was Made in America that Jay-Z was putting up, and D'Angelo came out with that. But Frank Ocean, big ups to you. All your little Odd Future crew. I saw him in Target the other day. There was a young kid. He looked like he was about 16, 17.
Yeah.
And he had I'm like, these kids are so young, but you know what? More power to you. You see him skating around Hollywood.
They're doing it.
They're doing it, living the dream.
Long Beach to Hollywood.
Yeah,
that's the way to do it.
That's all it is. Boom, boom, boom. You got to start early. I feel like nowadays, you know, if you don't get the start too early,
then you never get the finish. Is that what you're telling us?
Yeah, it's like a marathon. It's
After school specialist right near this camera.
Yes.
You can just tell us.
If you don't start, motion begets results or something like that.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, motion, or you got to keep something.
Is that on a fitness poster at the 24-hour fitness where you work out or something?
It's actually just on my wall. I put quotes on my wall. Actually,
nice.
I used to, but no, it's really not.
Not anymore?
No, I moved in.
With your lady.
I moved in with my lady, so now she doesn't allow any of that to happen. So there's a whole new game plan, a whole different set of rules.
Well, you guys have a big future ahead of you.
Yeah, we sure do. So this one goes out to you.
Yeah, and we also, now that we've started, capped off a wonderful episode of the 38th season. 38th. Can you believe it?
Do you have any, so we talked about Steve Harvey. I have a prediction.
Yeah.
I feel like we will see him later this year in the near future.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
That's right. Stephen was so excited he jumped the gun, but repeat that for us so we hear it again.
I jumped the gun. I'm going to look into the crystal ball and say we will see Steve Harvey on Saturday Night Live. Not only will we see Steve Harvey, but we will also see Jeff Probst and everybody else who has a new talk show. I don't know. Katie Couric, she'll be on there, and someone else came back. I think it was Ricky Lake, maybe.
Ricky Lake is back.
Yeah, so.
Ricky Lake is back.
And Matt Bomer is going to be on Saturday Night Live as well, because he's kind of a hot commodity right now in Hollywood.
I would agree with that.
And do you have any predictions?
You know, long run predictions?
Yeah, marathon predictions.
I hope the show won't struggle.
Yeah.
I'm a little worried about that. I think Jason Sudeikis is going to leave pretty quickly. You know, and he's just doing kind of the political thing. So you really got Bill Hader and Fred Armisen, and the rest is kind of a question mark.
Yeah.
I think Taryn can bring some stuff. He had a lot of good stuff last year, so we'll see what leads to the future. But, I mean, as for next week, we got Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Mumford & Sons.
Looking forward to that.
Love the Gordon-Levitt. He was awesome last time he did a backflip.
Gordon-Levitt is the biggest pimp in Hollywood right now. He's got a great film coming out where he rides his bike through New York.
Which didn't do well. I thought that was going to be awesome for 13-year-old boys, but
I wanted to see it, so I guess that means that I have the cravings of a 13-year-old boy. So I like Pop Rocks and Pepsi.
That's
too.
Not a Sandusky joke, is it?
Hey, take it easy now.
Take it easy.
Hey, take it easy.
But
and
next
Bill
week,
Hader, I wanted to make one other prediction. I feel Bill Hader and Kristen Wiig are both going to win Emmys.
Both Emmys.
And that's on the 23rd. The Emmys will be announced.
That's
so make sure you check that out, too. And Jimmy Kimmel is hosting that.
Next Sunday?
Next Sunday, yes, sir.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll be staying tuned, and we'll be here next Sunday with you guys again.
Definitely. Stay tuned.
Yeah. So, Stephen, where can we find more about Mr.
Check me out. Check me out on Twitter. It's at Stephen with a PH. Last name Seidel, Seidel. You can check me out at Renegade Reporting. And one other thing I want to tell you about, it's called McMayhem. MyDamnChannel.com // Mick Mayhem. It's a little prank show that I do. It's fun. We prank the public.
Awesome.
Yeah, how about yourself?
Check that out. Oh, you can always check me at www.matthewkyle.com. AMATTHEWKYLE, like the first name. I'm always doing stand-up and stuff. And, going to do an improv show here in, I think, 2 weeks. So I'll probably plug that next week.
All right.
But other than that, hanging fast and furious. And had a wonderful show.
Yes.
Many more to come. Right?
Yes. Looking forward to seeing you guys. Let us know what you thought.
Yes. So thank you for joining us, and we will catch you next week. Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Mumford & Sons.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.